Welcome back everybody to the channel. Sorry I've been busy lately, but I finally got around to doing my review for the first episode of the Disney Plus Marvel show, She-Hulk.
In every generation, there is chosen one girl in all the world. She alone will review the movies, TV shows, and books of geek culture. I am the chosen girl.
So the first episode of She-Hulk is titled A Normal Amount of Rage, and we open with Jen giving a practice rehearsed speech for her upcoming trial, and then we find out she breaks the fourth wall, and then we kind of go back and get her backstory about how she became a Hulk. And I really like the speech that they give. It's all about power and taking responsibility when you have power and being held accountable, and it's kind of like a theme that's going to run through. It's kind of like what Bruce is always telling her, like, you know, now that you have this power, you need to learn how to use it, and you have to be responsible or people are going to get hurt. And so I think that's going to be a theme throughout the show. I do like the fact that Jen gets these Hulk powers and she's like, I don't want to be a superhero. I never asked for this, like, don't sign me up for that. So it's kind of interesting, like, seeing people with powers who, like, just don't want to be a superhero. Like, they just want to go back to their normal life. So that's kind of interesting. And so, of course, we open up with Jen and Bruce on a road trip, and Bruce has his arm still in the sling from the end of Avengers Endgame. And when we saw him at the end credits of Shang-Chi, he was in Bruce human form with his arm in a sling, and now we find out that he sort of had this inhibitor device that's been allowing him to stay in human form instead of the Smart Hulk form. And I'm just curious why he has to be in the human. I think he's saying he's healing better when he's in human form. Maybe the pain of the arm causes him to, you know, lose control and Hulk out. I don't know. So it's kind of a weird device to, like, introduce, and then it gets, like, wrecked in the car crash, so then he, like, Hulks out anyway. And so they get into a car crash because Jen swerves off the road when a spaceship comes down in front of them, and it is later mentioned that it is one of the spaceships from Sakaar, the homeworld of the Grandmaster from Thor Ragnarok. So I hope that's something that we'll kind of pick up later on, maybe at the end of the show, or maybe, I mean, a lot of people are speculating World War Hulk and all sorts of stuff. I'm not really sure what we're doing there. Some people are thinking Hulk's going to have a kid. So hopefully we'll come back to that maybe in the last episode or so. I'm not sure how much more Bruce we're going to get in this show, but I do love what we get here. And so Bruce gets injured, and Jen gets injured, and Bruce's blood mixes into Jen's cut on her arm, and she instantly Hulks out. There's also a good call to using chopsticks with your Cheetos, which I thought was pretty cool because I've known about that for a while now. And especially it's really good if you're eating flaming hot Cheetos, because that red dust, like, really stains your hands. And so they do a good callback to that at the end of the show also. Yeah, if you like Cheetos, use some chopsticks. But anyway, so she hulks out and she kind of wakes up. She goes to a bar, calls Bruce for a ride, and then she hulks out against these guys trying to hit on her inappropriately. And then she wakes up in Mexico at Bruce's beach house, resort, bar / lab thing. And I'm not sure if they were already in Mexico. It looked like they were in, like, driving through some forest area. So, like, was she just unconscious for, like, hours and Bruce transported her to his hideout in Mexico? I don't know. But anyway, it's revealed that Tony Stark helped Bruce build this lab and this house and the bar. I like that mention of Tony and that he and Bruce continued to have a relationship during the blip. And it's kind of sweet, and you can kind of see Bruce gets a little sad every time he brings up Tony, but like he says, it was good times during the bad times. And I really like that, just that mention of Tony Stark. And we get mentions of Captain America here too. And I really like that because Hulk is one of the 6 main original Avengers in the MCU. So of course he was close to them. And you know, kind of harkens back to the old science bros between Bruce and Tony, so I really like the mention of Tony here. And then Bruce explains to Jen that they have special genetics in their DNAs that allow them to synthesize the gamma radiation in a different way, which causes the Hulk transformation. And I just recently watched the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton. A lot of people are saying that's not canon. It is canon. It's always included anytime you talk about Marvel Phase 1. This is supposed to be the same Bruce Banner. And in that movie, I believe Dr. Stern says something about Hulk or Bruce's DNA. He mentions it like synthesized the gamma radiation also, and it like it absorbed it and like released it. So it's not completely, like, it kind of matches up with what we already knew about the Hulk. The interesting thing is that it's a genetic thing that they both have because they're, family members, they're cousins. And so it kind of makes me wonder if, like, another Banner got, gamma radiation, will they turn out to be the Hulk? We don't know. But of course Jen gets it, and he says hers is different than his, and it's what allows him to heal his arm. And of course she manifests it differently because she doesn't have the Hulk alter ego. She is Jen, just in Hulk form, just like Bruce is in Smart Hulk form. And they call it out, it is Smart Hulk. I still wish we could make that distinction. Like, I still don't think Bruce and Hulk are fully reunited as he would like, which I think is why he is kind of a recluse, like Jen points it out. And I mean, I do kind of like that she, like, later on calls him on it, like, you don't have a family, you don't interact, you're hiding out, like, all this stuff. And she doesn't want to live life like that. And because she is conscious when she's in her Hulk form, she doesn't have to hide out and worry about as much turning into a monster. She kind of has the power without the uncontrollable rage that Hulk originally had. So I kind of like that difference. And I don't think they're trying to set Jen up as being a better Hulk than Bruce or anything. I think they're really just trying to differentiate them. That she, because her blood is different, because she got the Hulk from his blood and not from the gamma radiation exposure directly, it does manifest differently. And because, she is a woman, she has different experiences with controlling her anger. They do mention that it all just kind of comes out differently. And her Hulk form, you notice, is not as large as Bruce's Hulk form. So that does give her some advantages with flexibility and maneuvers and stuff. But it also means she's probably not as strong as he is. So there's, pros and cons to both of them being the Hulk, but they are very different. And why Bruce had an alter ego could be many reasons. We don't know. Maybe we'll get an answer for that eventually. Maybe he will kind of split again into Bruce and Hulk. We'll have to wait and see for that. But I do like them pointing out the differences between Bruce and Jen and not just saying that she's just better than him at everything. Now, Bruce does mention that he has been the Hulk for 15 years, and I think that includes the 5-year time gap between Infinity War and Endgame, or just it's in Endgame. I still don't like that 5-year time gap. I think that was, I don't know, it kind of messes the time of everything up, and I don't like the 5-year time gap. But he does call out, like, a couple things, like he can switch forms when he falls out of a spaceship, or, gets knocked unconscious, or they even mentioned in Age of Ultron, Natasha used to do the lullaby method, and I like that Jen's like, well, how did that work? And Bruce is like, well, I don't really want to tell you. And I think it's because Bruce loved Natasha, and it was his love for Natasha coming through the Hulk that would calm him down. I think that's what he's saying, but he doesn't really want to kind of admit those emotions in front of Jen. But it is kind of interesting to get these kind of callbacks, and Bruce does even have like an old Ultron face robot mask in his beach house, and so there's kind of a few Ultron little Easter eggs here in this episode, and I wonder if we're ever going to get back to Ultron or not. So we'll have to wait and see for that. Also in this episode, Jen keeps trying to figure out whether or not Captain America, Steve Rogers, was a virgin, which is something that kind of the fandom has been like speculating over the years, because he says, he's never, been good with women when he was Skinny Steve. And then, he became Captain America and then got frozen in the ice and Avengers and all this other stuff. And, we never really saw him dating anybody. I just assumed he and Sharon Carter at some point during after Civil War when they were both banned. But, maybe not. But anyway, it's at the end of this episode, there is a post-credit scene where Bruce tells Jen that Steve did lose his virginity to one of the girls on the USO tour back when he just became Captain America and he was doing all those war bond propagation USO tours. And that kind of makes sense. And I know some people are like, oh, but he knew Peggy and, he would have waited. Well, he was also a young guy that had never had girls before like him. And all of a sudden he's hot and all the girls want him. And, yeah, I can see that. Why not? Peggy wasn't really interested in him at the time. I know he kissed, like, the Game of Thrones lady at one point. But it's kind of like a funny running joke that's kind of always been in the fandom, and now it's, like, finally canon. So we can all put that to bed. But I do love Jen's reaction to it. She's just, like, so excited. That's kind of funny. So overall, I really, really like this episode. We do end the episode with the court scene that was started at the front of the first beginning of the episode. And then I believe the villain is Titania. She comes bursting into the courtroom. We don't know why yet. We don't know what she was doing there. And then Jen's friend's like, you gotta Hulk out. And so Jen finally hulks out. And I like that they like set the shoes aside because you don't want to ruin your shoes, but she'll ruin her outfit. So she hulks out in public and she just like immediately punches Titania, knocks her out. And I do like the line where she's like, who are you? And she's like, I'm Jennifer Walters, attorney at law. Like, that's very kind of like cliche writing, legal drama type thing to say. I hope that we get some more legal cases. Like she says, like at the beginning, like this is a lawyer show, So I hope we get kind of more of that as we move throughout the show. But so far, it's off to a good start. There were some pretty good jokes here. I really enjoyed the episode. It wasn't like as amazing as like the first episode of Ms. Marvel was, but I still think this show has a lot of promise to it, and I'm really excited to see the rest of it. I really love all of the kind of little details that we got, like with Bruce and with the Hulk stuff and, Tony and Cap and stuff like that. I thought that was a lot of fun, kind of just living in the world of the MCU, I think is always nice. And I hope we get to see Bruce again. I want to kind of maybe see him address some of those issues that Jen brought up and also figure out what's going on with the Sakaar warship or whatever. So I hope we get him at the end. I know there's supposed to be a lot of cameos. We're obviously going to be getting Wong and Abomination and Daredevil. And they say there's a lot more even. And there might even be cameos from characters that haven't even been introduced yet. We don't know. So I'm really looking forward to this show. I really enjoyed this episode. I think Tatiana Maslany is great. She's a fantastic actress. I think she does a great job with the comedy here. And Mark Ruffalo is always great as the Hulk. I liked the best friend character of Nikki also. And I'm not sure what's going on with the villain Titania. If she's the main villain, we don't even know. Why was she busting into the courtroom? Was she supposed to be saving maybe the client that Jen was... I do like that, like, after she takes out Titania, she's like, alright, I'm ready to, like, begin my closing statements. Like, she's ready to get back to work. Like, throughout the whole episode, she's just trying to, stop training with Bruce and get back to her life. And I do like seeing that from somebody who has powers. Like, they just have a normal life that they want to live, but now they have these powers, and what do? Right? And so that was kind of a nice little moment at the end. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Let me know, everybody, what you thought about it. Do you like the She-Hulk? Do you like this new iteration of the She-Hulk? Did you like the acting? Did you like the story? What are you hoping we're going to get from the rest of the season? So make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Just be sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly reviews of She-Hulk. I'm also going to be continuing my Marvel MCU journey. I've already done Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk. Next up is going to be Iron Man 2. Hopefully get that out next week. So thanks for watching, everybody. And until next time, I'm not going to tell you how the lullaby worked.